And Janessa is right. The police do the investigation, and if they have somebody they feel that is responsible, they can make an arrest. And this it is the court to determine whether the person is guilty or not, because you have other factors, and it was explained that the police may not do the investigation properly. I understand that. The fact that the bail application was made on the request of medical condition, my problem is that, I mean, if the guy has a medical condition, is it a medical condition for Dominica or out of Dominica? And so it's a very difficult matter, and I think we have to handle it carefully. And I'm not sure if, I mean, the U.S. has to take into account, yes, if he applied for a visa, if he revoked his passport, or to deal with him, but you never know how things can work. So a very, very tough situation there. I just hope that the common sense can prevail in this matter, because it was not a good publicity for Dominica. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Somebody's asking the question, Mr. Joshua, can Mr. Larrier not travel to the U.S. with his birth documents?
Well, those are valid questions. Those are very valid questions. But again, if one revokes his citizenship, his birth certificate would not be enough to travel to that country. I'm just saying. But there may be a lot of technicalities associated with that issue by itself. And one would expect, or would have expected, the judge to take some time for considering the ramifications of putting such a condition. Because what you do not want is to create conditions which are ambiguous and provide loopholes for the defendant to exploit for his own interest at the expense of the public interest.
Somebody who understands immigration is asking the question, he needs to go travel to the consulate in Barbados to revoke his citizenship. Now, would he still be under house arrest at this stage?
Well, normally, defendants are not placed under...
This is why I ask you the question, whether he would be traveling with security, because the job is to revoke the citizenship, the U.S. citizenship.
Well, Matt, again, I'm not too sure what are the other 12 conditions. I am not too sure. At this hour, we are only speculating. My understanding is that that decision in that matter will be given over the next few hours.
But we know for sure that to revoke your citizenship, you must travel to Barbados.
Well, I have not verified, but my understanding is that he would have to travel to the nearest consulate, as in this case, in Barbados, for revocation of his U.S. citizenship.
All right. I know the U.S. places a lot of protection over the U.S. over citizenship. You know, and they protect the citizens. So I wonder where this will go on this one.
Right. And that's a very interesting observation, Matt. As
they fight to protect the citizens.
Right. So as the previous caller stated, there are quite a number of issues associated with that case. But let us not lose sight on the public's interest, because that case has very serious ramifications, not only for the constituents in Soufriere, but for Dominica by extension. And I heard one of your callers, or well, not a caller, but somebody who was interviewed earlier, an interviewee, saying that Dominica is perceived to be a place for peace, and the people of Soufriere have not had peace. And if we are to promote Dominica as a nature island of the Caribbean and of the world, and we're promoting Dominica as a place for peace and enjoyment of life, and we have a case of that nature where it appears to the public that justice is not being served, then definitely that would affect our image in the public space, in the international global space.
We have another 5 minutes. We'll take a break and we'll come back. Hello, talk to me. Thank you, Joshua, for explaining in detail. Talk to me, yes.
Your customers, and good afternoon to Josh Francis.
Right.
Man, they're asking him to revoke his passport, his U.S. passport.
Yes.
As you just mentioned, he maybe have his birth paper. But what about his social security card? There are certain things he will not be able to revoke, and I believe that will take a while for that to be done. I believe that is a travesty, giving him a bail. Because when this one gets bail, in the next few months, they're going to start asking for bail for the other one. And is that just how Mr. Lanois' life is just going to go? I would expect it to go like that because of who is managing the country, the administration managing the country. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon to you. If he gets another question, if he gets a U.S. visa, I think that came up before, and travels to the U.S., how will Dominica be able to track him after that? Huh? Very important. Yeah?
Well, Matt, again, that will be for the court to decide. Because take, for example, if right now he wants to travel, he would have to go before the judge to make an application for variation of bail. Again, I would expect that one of the conditions would be for him to travel, he would need permission of the court. And at that stage, it would be for the court to decide on the conditions under which he would be allowed to travel.
All right, somebody saying, Matt, that's a villager from Soufriere. My stomach aches. I'm afraid for the people of Soufriere, and I'm scared for myself and everyone in Soufriere. So people are terrified.
Yeah, I mean, the community of Soufriere is still subject to psychological and emotional trauma, and one would understand why. The entire community appear to be affected by this, and they have serious concerns about the outcome of the bail application.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Interesting discussion there with Mr. Joshua Francis on this bail granted to, of course, Jonathan Lerere, mother accused. We're going to come back.
Not sure what gift to give? How about a GBA gift certificate? Our gift certificates are tailored to your budget. Located at 106C Independence Street, Roseau, just after the EC Low Black Bridge. Call us at 275-8788. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Wines and spirits are our specialty, with top brands to choose from.
Diplomatico, Fodi, Chairman's Reserve, Vino Maple, Bounty, to name a few.
So make your gift giving easy with a GBA gift certificate. Season's greetings from all of us at GBA Enterprises.
The Dominica Calypso Association, Flo, and Heineken Beer present the 2025 Calypso competition. Registration is now open for entry into the competition at Arturo Sport in the Privo Cinemall from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Calypsonians are encouraged to prepare and register today. The DCA welcomes you to the 2025 Calypso season.
Resistance Refuge Revival, the Indigenous Calinagos of Dominica. The new publication by Dr. Lennox of the Church will be the focus on Creole Handbit this Friday, November 29th from 11 a.m. on Q95 FM. The Calinagos coming to the islands from South America. The way of life of the Calinago on Waitikubuli. The Spanish arrive on the west coast of Waitikubuli and rename it Dominica. The Calinago resistance against colonization begins. Sponsored by TGCL and hosted by Ambassador Prince Wadix. The island is occupied by the French and captured by the British, and the land is surveyed and sold. The Calinagos going to refuge on the rugged east coast and maintain their skills and culture. The Carib Reserve, later called the Calinago Territory, is established, and Calinago chiefs are recognized. The Calinago War is fought in 1930. The Calinago Revival begins in all its forms and continues to the present day. Creole Headbit with Dr. Lennox Only Church this Friday, November 29th from 11 a.m. on Q95 FM, Q95 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Creole Headbit, connecting Dominica to its history. Creole Headbit, a full proceed into the culture of Dominica. Mabrika, Mabrika.
Mabrika, Mabrika, everybody. Something, something, something good. Something, something, something good.
Fantastic news from E-Star Trading Limited, presenting yet another top quality, unbeatably priced product brought in especially for you. Just received world-class Cleo brand canned tuna in chunks and flakes, available in sunflower oil and brine. Prices start as low as $2.95 per can. Yes, you heard right. Cleo brand canned tuna, perfect for delicious dishes at home, in restaurants and hotels. Shop and save today on world-class Cleo brand tuna, available at E-Star Trading Limited. E-Star Trading Limited, working hard every day to make a difference for you.
Something, something, something good. Something, something, something good.
Oh, you want to say, man? Dominica, people from Soufriere, pack all you luggage to travel because we finish. Yes, thank you.
I am the one that go into things. You know me, I don't live in Dominica, first of all. But you see, this, it is my concern. I live in Soufriere, and I know what Jonathan had done already to the people, right? You see, if today they grant Jonathan bail, or if he get bail, that's gonna be chaos in Soufriere. I promise you, I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart.
I just want to give him bail $1 million.
Man, I can't even talk because this is something personally. I've been through this struggle with Jonathan. No, this is chaos in Soufriere. That's gonna be chaos in Soufriere, I'm telling you. If
People from Soufriere, they need to demonstrate.
Knock it, it's not gonna
We finish in Soufriere. We finish in Soufriere. Jonathan get bail. Al Capone could not get bail. What is it in Dominica? People from Dominica get out in a large number, and we need to demonstrate who are we right now? What are we right now?
Hello. And I don't care. I don't have a European passport. I don't have a problem. But you see, Dominica, this is my country. And you see what Jonathan have done to us in Soufriere? I can tell you definitively, this will not pass so. It might not be like in Haiti or some other places in Jamaica. But you see, our people, it is time for us to stand up. It is time for us to see what is going on and what is not right. This is not about a politics business, you know. This is about what we've been through with Jonathan. I can't understand somebody like that had killed 2 people. Let me tell you something. It was not any ordinary sort of people. They were my people, my personal friend. Dominic and Jonathan been in Dominica for more than 30 years. And then people are my people. You hear me? And I'm probably emotional today because that's not fair and that's not right. But the God I serve, He never leave me, never forsake me.
All right, Dominica, we are back. It's the talk on the block. The emotions there, the people of Soufriere. People are saying, now I'm afraid to go back to Soufriere. So you understand the fears that the people of Soufriere now feel. Well, let me just reassure you at this time that he's still at the Stockholm prison. He has not met the bail conditions just yet. But as you heard from Mr. Joshua Francis, you can go back tomorrow and ask, that it be adjusted. Will it happen? I guess we just have to wait and find out. Joshua, a lot of people are crying about questioning the $1 million. That's a lot of money. I haven't heard $1 million bail in Dominica just yet.
Right. Well, I'm taking it that you're looking at 1 million EC or 1 million US. What did you hear?
Well, I heard 1 million EC.
1 million EC, which is equivalent to about 400,000 US dollars.
That's chicken.
Well, for the gentleman and maybe his circle, that is chicken feed, right? Now, the court would have taken those things into consideration. The character, the person before the court. It is alleged that he's wealthy, and one would expect that his circle to be wealthy, and therefore 1 million EC dollars in those circumstances isn't that much. The average house in Dominica, in certain places in Dominica, would value at least $100 million. Now, when a court says that the bail sum is $1 million, it may not necessarily mean that the person who is presenting himself or herself as a surety must come up with $1 million. Normally, when one makes an application for bail, the applicant, whether by himself or his attorney, must satisfy the court by 2 tests. The control test, whereby the person who is being presented as a surety must satisfy the court that he or she has a relationship with the defendant and would have influence on the defendant. And usually would ask the question, how long have you known the defendant? Do you know where he lives? Do you speak with him regularly? When you speak with him, does he listen to you? So the court...
And if he doesn't show up, can you present?
Well, we're coming to that. So the court must be pleased that whoever has been presented as a surety has some kind of control over the defendant. So at some point, if somebody shows up, and in the past we understood that a particular person showed up as a surety, the proposed surety, that person would have to meet those satisfactions in the court. Do you know the gentleman well? Do you have a relationship? Do you know where he lives? If you speak with him, would he listen to you? So that is what is referred to as the means test. The person will also have to satisfy what is referred to as That is what we refer to as a control test. The person will also have to satisfy the means test. Now that is where the $1 million coming in. Because when you present yourself as a surety, basically you're giving the court the undertaking that you will be responsible to ensure that defendant shows up or appear before the court when his matter comes up. Because as you know, matters of that nature are never dealt with in 1 day or 2 days. And especially in our administrative system, these things take weeks and years. And by the way, the court took into consideration the length of this matter. It has not started, but we'll come to that. All right. So the surety must meet the means test. So questions of, okay, if that man absconds the jurisdiction, would you be responsible? Would you be willing to take the responsibility to pay the $1 million? And of course,
that's a big question right there.
Well, and then the person must show means. That person must satisfy the court that he or she has $1 million somewhere, whether in cash or in assets or a combination of both. So as I said, usually in our practice, a person would present a certificate of title, not the original. Some magistrates or judges may ask to bring a copy of the original, but the court does not hold the original certificate of title. A copy of the certificate of title would be provided to the court, which suggests or which shows that that person, being an owner of land or a house or both, would be in a position to pay that $1 million should the defendant abscond. So it's not a question of the person coming up with $1 million and putting it on bond. The court can do that as well. In some cases, the court may ask for cash bond. Come up with $500,000 cash, add an additional security, and I will release that defendant on bail. So usually you would hear for bail sums in a murder matter, $250,000, $300,000, but this one is very high for several reasons.
Historic. 208 is the afternoon time. Let's see if we can take a few more calls. It's 208. Hello, talk to me.
Matt, just finally, I want to thank Joshua Francis very much, Matt, because not the first, second, or third time you need legal matters clarified, and you know who you get in, Matt? Do you know who you get in when you need those matters clarified, Matt?
I can speak to a few people, but mostly we look for the advice of Joshua. Yes,
Joshua Francis. That's what I can recall. I just want to say, Josh, listen to me carefully. Just two questions or an observation. Josh, the loophole that was created, this having to do with some medical condition. I am just wondering if the prosecutors or the lawyers satisfy themselves, the loophole having to do with some ambiguity, some inadequacies, or to make just further complicate matters. Did they check his health record? At what point he ended up being, diagnosed with cancer? Is it malignant or some lump or tumor or something? At what point? Because to me, all of a sudden, that is what the basis of the bail argument is. He need urgent medical attention. At what point that was discovered? Before the alleged crime or after? Because to me, as I tell you about Al Capone and his lawyer was charged as an accomplice and end up in jail with him. So I know some criminal lawyers can be very dangerous. I'm just wondering, what if it's a sudden thing? Who in Dominica that could confirm that, yes, he is a cancer patient? At what point they knew he was a cancer patient? So that is why I'm saying, in this little island, you have all kind of criminals. Maybe the police that was deployed to go and check the vibes, contaminated the whole matter, mishandled the whole matter. Because when you have people in high places, Matt, a lot of shit, excuse in your face, George, and the listening public happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before you answer the question from Blessings there, Matt, you're asking a millionaire for $1 million? Make that make sense for me.
Well, keep in mind, Matt is the proper surety who has to show that he has $1 million, whether in liquid form or asset form or fixed form. All right.
Well, so speak to the issue of Blessings.
Yeah, it's a very good observation. And I commend Blessings for looking at this matter, and he's looking at it from a very deep angle. And I do agree with him. The question of whether the medical documents which would have been presented show a timeline from which this gentleman was diagnosed with whatever illness that he has. I'm hearing his cancer. I don't know that for sure. And who is the presenter of the documents?
And the question again, couldn't it be treated in Dominica?
Well, I'm coming to that. But we have to be careful. Yes, you may have a medical document, but you may want a second opinion or even a third opinion because it's a small island. You know the practice here, Matt. You know, persons go to doctors and get certain reports, and I am not attacking the medical faculty in Dominica, but I'm being practical and sincere. We know very well that we can go to certain professionals, and I do not want to just pinpoint doctors, but we can go to certain professionals to get certain reports in our interest and not necessarily reflecting the truth. So the point that Blessing raised is a legitimate concern as to whether those medical documents that were presented before the court were buttressed or supported by other reports. All right? Because what you do not want is documents providing information which is not representing the truth.
All right. Thank you very much. On the telephone, are you there? 213, talk to me. Yes.
Yep. Mark, I'm very interested. In fact, Blessing point and the way you just explained it is very interesting because we live in a place where I'm not saying those of us who speculate are always right, but we never get the proper information. In terms of the bail, I mean, the bail is very interesting because whoever stands bail, we don't know who the shorty is. I mean, arrangement can be made that if the guy defaults, that with their own sources and their own machination, that the amount can be paid and so forth. So it is a very complicated issue that we are faced with and so forth. And I wanted to ask a question, but you just ask about in terms of whether the doctors can go to the prison to administer treatment to this. It's not a normal case. It's not a normal case. Two persons, and you was in a fight, and in the fight you defend yourself and somebody get killed, allegedly. It was a situation where two persons were found murdered in a vehicle, pushed to a precipice and so forth. And I mean, God is always sugar than us, so therefore the vehicle did not go down where it had to go, or it intended to go. So while the court will determine who did the murder, but it's not a normal case. It's a case where two persons are not, and two investors who invested and created employment in a community for people who contribute to the economy got murdered. They are from Canada, and therefore, I mean, we saw all of this followed from Canada, which gave us the wrong publicity that we do not want. And a few days before that, these people were honored, or these gentlemen were honored on our national day, and so forth. So it's not a simple matter, and so forth. So I'm very, very concerned and very interested in terms of the bill and how the bill and the machination that will enter into the bill. I'm hearing a lot of things I don't want to repeat here.
All right, I'll tell you what. Thank you very much, Johnson. Somebody's asking a question. Who bailed him? Who was the surety there? Mr. will revoke his U.S. citizenship. We go see. $1 million in cash or assets. Report to the Granby police station and lives in Soufriere. Very strange, because there's a station in Soufriere. If the property has a caveat, can it be used as surety? Ask Joshua.
Well, again, that is left to the discretion of the court. I'm aware that there is a particular magistrate who does not accept certificate of titles with a caveat. I personally have a problem with that because, in my view, how many Dominicans, Matt, own a certificate of title without a caveat on it? Not many. A caveat reflects a mortgage, a personal loan, and as you know, the economic realities in Dominica is grim. And most ordinary Dominicans would have used their certificate of title to secure a loan. And as such, it is unlikely that most people would appear before the court with a certificate of title without a caveat.
All right, well, I was not in the court, but somebody asked me a question to find out who was the surety, who bailed the gentleman. I'm going to ask a reporter that was in the vicinity of the court, and maybe can get the question answered. I'm just sending a note there to find out just Do you know, Joshua?
No, and I don't think that's really relevant
Okay.
because any citizen can present himself or herself to act as a surety. But everybody has his or her people. And think about it from an ordinary point of view.
It's public knowledge, though.
Well, yes, it's of public interest. The public can find out, and if someone presents himself or herself, the public will find out. The public has a right to find out. But I'm saying, in context of a discussion, it is not relevant to me.
Okay. Well, the public needs to know. They want to know.
But Matt,
I'll try to find out.
Yeah, but I want to comment on the issue again, going back to the basis of this application.
Okay.
All right. It appears to be rooted in medical. Now, again, even in court, we are learning that we have an anemic healthcare system. Because if that gentleman has an issue, and I'm hearing that it may be prostate issues, again, I cannot prove that. I have not seen any document. But whatever illness that he has, one would think that our medical facility here, namely the Dominican Friendship Hospital, could provide the avenue for his care. And if we do not have the specialist, as it appears, he can bring down specialists. I'm not too sure whether that was dealt with in the court. The whole question of whether he needs to travel to get medical care and attention. And if he needs to travel for medical care and attention, once again, it shows us that our medical facility or medical care is one thing. And it also sends a message that based on a diagnosis, you have to travel. And if you cannot travel, you stay in Kranana. So I'll just make that point as obiter on the side. I know it's not to the heart of the discussion as far as the legal process is concerned, but nonetheless, that is part of public concerns.
Apasa. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes, sorry about that. Hello, yes. I never.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good to you, sir.
And good afternoon to your guests.
Good afternoon.
Matt, as you know, it's all well and good. At least you can get a lawyer, Joshua Francis, to give us some perspective with respect to the court so we can understand what is the situation and how things are happening. But at the end of the day, you have to think of the ordinary man on the ground. Matt, we all have common sense. And for us to achieve in life, we must go for common sense, which is a normal thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what is it. To me, it doesn't matter what the bail application is all about. It doesn't matter with all the other details with respect to the court. The most important thing, Jonathan got exactly what he wanted. They will decide what they will do after, but he gets exactly what he wants. So it doesn't matter how much they bail him, what he has to do. That don't make no sense to me. The most important thing, Jonathan got exactly what he wanted. And I'm calling on the people of Soufriere, Scotland, and Gallion. Remember when the murder happened, Kerrit and Denise never come to listen to us and to hear what we are saying and to give us representation. They never study us in the village. But one warning I'm calling for the people of Soufriere and Scotland and Gallion. Be vigilant. We are around Christmas, and the government and Denise, they're going to use a strategy. And the strategy they're going to use is to bring goodies for you all. I'm calling on the people of Soufriere to open all your eyes, because remember, they have to give us representation. But they're going to use that Christmas thing and to spin it to fool the people. So I'm calling on the people of Soufriere, open all your eyes, and do not let Denise and Kerrit use all you anymore. Stand for all your right. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. 2:20 is the afternoon time. And of course, I just spoke to a reporter there. He makes sense because, no surety will come forward because the guy is still at the Stockholm prison. So there's no need for any surety at this time.
Well, usually, Matt, when we make bail applications for bail,
and that comes to the end.
Right. Affidavits in support of our application, we would present names of individuals who would present themselves as sureties.
Okay.
So there is a possibility that a name or names may have been submitted to the court. But at this hour, we do not know who are the people. And as you say, at some point, should the gentleman, the defendant, be able to make satisfaction of the bail conditions, then
that person
would appear.
All right, on the telephone more. Boy, the telephones are going like crazy. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Okay, Mr. Pelty.
Good.
I've been here for a long time.
Try
I'm
it.
going to show you something.
Show me something and be quick.
Okay, I raised some partially in Suffolk, my dad, and Scotland. But I've assessed the people in Scotland and Suffolk. And politics have divided them, and that happened long time. They say 15 years on the Amida. And then, but they are divided, they are not together. And the trouble is that if you give them, they not with you. So even though people call people and tell them come together, it will never happen. Because since when it happened, and the people just stay quiet, they did quiet all the time. Now the thing came to the court, that's when he had voices. I sympathize with those who are crying because they say, when you lose something, you know what to lose. But people never stand up. Some people never stand up and voice themselves. So for never them to people come together. Because some did not get nothing, some did get from the man. So that is how it is. That is baby for cherry that's talking there.
All right, caller. Thank you very much. Let's move on because there are many, many phone calls.
Matt, since I'm from Scott said, Matt, I'm calling, Matt, but to no avail. Matt, since I'm from Scott said, I'm from Soufriere, I'm from Galion as well, Matt. Matt, get with me and play my voice notes now. Because listen to Mr. Joshua. And what he's saying, that's what he's telling us according to law. But man, these guys have money, people with a lot of money, spot shares, man. Millions and billions they have. Man, this $1 million is like 25 cents for this kind of guys to put in somebody's hand. They're going to bail them even double and triple it, man. Man, they got more passport money is like crazy, man. Man, let me say that to my people in Soufriere and Scott said, Gallion, I heard them crying. I want to say this to all lads. Said it in the past, before I called. And I told them that they're going to disrespect us. They will disrespect us because they have no respect for us. But no, see what happened. No matter whether they listen to us now or not, what we ought to do, when the time comes, foot them out. Foot them out.
People from Soufriere, pack all you gets to travel because we finish.
Yes, another one that go into thing. You know me, I don't live in Dominica first of all. But you see this, it is my concern. I live in Soufriere and I know what Jonathan had done already to the people. Right? You see, if today they grant Jonathan bail or if he get bail, that's gonna be chaos in Soufriere. I promise you, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart.
I just heard they gave him bail $1 million.
Man, I can't even talk because this is something personally. I've been through this struggle with Jonathan. No, this is chaos in Soufriere. That's gonna be chaos in Soufriere, I'm telling you. If
people from Soufriere, they need to demonstrate.
Knock it, it's not gonna be.
We finish in Soufriere. We finish in Soufriere. Jonathan got bail. Al Capone could not get bail. What is it in Dominica? People from Dominica get out in a large number and we need to demonstrate who are we right now? What are we right now?
Hello. And I don't care. I don't have a European passport. I don't have a problem. But you see, Dominica, this is my country. And you see what Jonathan have done to us in Soufriere? I can tell you definitively, this will not pass so. It might not be like in Haiti or some other places in Jamaica. But you see, our people, it is time for us to stand up. It is time for us to see what is going on and what is not right. This is not about a politics business, This is about what we've been through with Jonathan. I can't understand somebody like that had killed 2 people. Let me tell you something. It was not any ordinary sort of people. They were my people, my personal friend. Dominic and Jonathan been in Dominica for more than 30 years. And then people are my people. You hear me? And I'm probably emotional today because that's not fair. And that's not right. But the God I serve, He never leave me, never forsake me.
All right, Dominica, we're here. 2:26. We have just about 34 more minutes. Very interesting afternoon. We're very thankful to Joshua Francis, who was sat with us all afternoon there from the 1 o'clock hour. I'm just hoping that we can find a few more lawyers from the Dominica Bar Association who can stand with the people on pressing issues Mr. Joshua, are you part of the Law Association?
Yes, I'm a member of the Bar Association.
Don't you find
I'm not an active member though.
But don't you find them a little mute?
Well, Matt, people stay mute for their personal interest.
Okay.
You know, people have fear of political reprisals.
Hence what's going on there. 226. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Well, I'm just hoping that we see a lot more of persons speaking out for the sake of people in Dominica. Hello, talk to me. Hello, yeah.
Yes, I want to ask a final question there for argument's sake.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Francis, okay, wherever he goes for the medical treatment, right? Whether he stays in Mexico, wherever he goes for it. No, when he goes for that medical treatment, who decides when he comes back from that medical treatment? Depending on, we're not good, depending on whatever he has. At what stage would a doctor say, well, it's time for you to go back and things like that? You know, depending on the country. Now, if that country, just for argument's sake, does not have an extradition act or whatever, how do you get that country, if he decided not coming back, get that country to send him back? I'm just asking that. Thank you.
That's a valid question. I think I made mention of that earlier. If you were to go to a country where we don't have an extradition act, a legal relationship between that country and Dominica, then he's not obliged, nor the country is obliged to send him back. But again, Matt,
reasonable to suspect that this gentleman may not.
Right, but Matt, again, if the gentleman has to leave the jurisdiction, he would have to appear before the High Court judge. And should he be granted that permission, be given his travel documents to get out of the jurisdiction, it would be under terms and conditions. As I said, the practice would be that he would provide a ticket or an itinerary to show where he's going, when he's going, and when he's expected back in the jurisdiction. So it's not a question of he simply leaves the jurisdiction to go wherever he wants.
All right. Let's find out. 228. The telephones just can't stop ringing there. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
Matt Pelte, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, my brother Wayne. How you doing?
Not too bad. Good afternoon, Mr. Francis. How are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, Wayne. Bless. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Josh, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit before I make my contribution. Josh, would you, Joshua Francis, and I know the person that you are, you're a straight shooter. Would you, Joshua Francis, have taken up a matter like this?
You mean if he was the judge?
No.
No, the lawyer. Okay, sorry. Forgive me.
This alleged murder. Would you take up that matter, Judge?
Generally, I am not too interested in murder matters. A matter of fact, I kind of moving away from criminal law. And I have had clients who are accused of murder. I would look at the nature of the matter. I would speak with the client, and based on information received from the client, the character of the client, the history of the client, etc., I would make that determination. As to that particular matter, it's a resounding no, because you have an entire nation crying in respect to that allegation, and I do not like to go against the people's cry. Joshua Francis like to stand with the people, by the people, and for the people.
Okay.
You're satisfied with the answer?
Yeah. I'm satisfied with Josh. So, Josh, let's look at things. I want to say, Josh, personally, I think that the learned judge erred in relation to this bail application. He should not have granted bail to such an accused individual. Knowing the circumstances, knowing the individual, the victims here, what the victims have contributed to the well-being of Dominica, and more specifically the Soufriere area. I also think, Josh, and I don't know if you would agree with me, that one of the first things that should have happened after this alleged criminal was taken into custody, the government of Dominica, if they were interested in the well-being and the public interest, they would have revoked the economic citizenship that this gentleman has. But they chose not to do that. Instead, we are faced with the situation that we are now. In relation to the revocation of his United States citizenship, Again, I believe the learned judge erred on this. This man is not an economic citizen of the United States. This man is a born American citizen. I do not know what jurisdiction does the learned judge have to ask the gentleman to revoke his citizenship. But Josh, I'm looking at two factors here right now. That I believe, in public interest, this guy should not be granted bail. And secondly, under a national security issue, this gentleman should also not be granted bail. Because here we are hearing that the man should report to a particular police station in Dominica. That police station is where? In Grande.
Mm-hmm.
In Grande.
In Grande.
You are listening to the people's cry of the Soufriere constituency, and you're hearing what they are saying. So this becomes a concern for national security. And on this basis, I'm saying that I think the learned judge erred and should not have granted bail to this alleged murderer. The implications for the country is too much. And I think this should be reconsidered. This is my contribution this afternoon. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Yeah?
Yeah, so Matt, I suspect the reason why the bail condition that he has to report to the Granby police station is in connection with where the offense took place. Because, yes, the area is the upper Soufriere, the heights of Soufriere, right?
Yeah.
That is where the criminal site is. That is where the scene is, the criminal scene. That is where the killing took place.
But I'm asking how close to Granby that
Right,
is?
I'm just thinking whether the preliminary inquiry would be placed in the district of Granby, because there is a Granby Magistrate Court.
I'm just saying, based on what I heard, I can't confirm that the alleged murderers were found in that area, Granby. That's the only conclusion I can come to.
Right, so you're trying to understand, or the public is trying to understand, why report in Granby and not Soufriere.
Yep. So maybe the police officers that caught these guys, if it is true, maybe in the Granby area. So
again, we're just left to speculate. But on the issue of renunciation of citizenship, of course, the judge on his own would not and cannot force the gentleman to renounce U.S. citizenship if that's what he has. The man would have to voluntarily renounce U.S. citizenship. And from my understanding, immigration laws in the United States of America make provisions for renunciation of citizens by birth. It would have to be done voluntarily. But of course, should he ask for revocation of his U.S. citizenship, he can always reapply for a U.S. visa and in the future for restoration of U.S. citizenship,
Because
either for a child or some family member.
I have known people who have given up their citizenship, and a few years later have changed their mind, and they will issue the citizenship again.
But of course, that conflict of laws that has to do with the United States laws. I think the public is just concerned that those conditions may provide a gap for this gentleman to get out of the jurisdiction and probably not face trial. I think that's the fear that the public has.
That's the concern. Hello on the telephone. Yes, my telephones are going crazy now. Talk to me, yes?
Yes, Matt. Me again.
Well, you're a very lucky guy.
I already done finish with that gentleman. I think I said long time this guy is going to escape. But what I want to focus on, his lawyer, who the Dominican says, he know he is innocent. So we should investigate that lawyer, saying that he know he's innocent. You know what I mean?
But he's just defending his client. That's all he's doing. He's just defending his client. So what do you expect him to say?
Right,
Guilty?
Right.
4493095. Common sense. 2:35 is the afternoon time. Talk to me, yes?
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Matt and Mr. Joshua.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I'm there and I'm listening. And I'm saying in the first place, should not there be a law as far as bail is concerned? If you willfully murder people, that you should not get bail. When I as a young man, I remember in days of old, there was no bail when you committed murder, Now that they have bended and giving you bail for murder, but I think there should be special conditions for willful murder. It's not to say they had a fight and the man was murdered, That is willful murder, and as far as I'm concerned, this man should never get bail. And as far as I'm concerned, you're trying to run away from what I'm hearing. He will always try to go out. Period.
All right, I'll tell you what. And we've said it over and over in this program, innocent until proven guilty. So the defense has a case to prove. Whether they'll prove it is a different question.
Well, no, it is not for the defense
The
to
prosecution,
prove.
the prosecution, sorry. The
All right.
prosecution.
And Matt, let me just say that not only the prosecution has to prove that the accused or the defendant is guilty, but it must be done beyond a reasonable doubt. If there is a doubt, it has to be given in favor of the defendant. And of course, it's an indictable matter if it goes through the entire legal process. Ultimately, it is the jury that determines the guilt or innocence of the defendant.
Are we talking about any doubt there? Hello, talk to him on the telephone, yes?
Hi, I'm intrigued by these conditions regarding the passport and the citizenship. I'm not even sure that Mr. Francis can answer my question, but let's go. If I, as a Dominican, were to be charged with a crime, a grievous crime, there are conditions under which the court would ask me to surrender my travel documents. But I don't think the court would ever ask me to revoke my Dominican citizenship. So now that you're asking this man to do that, he is a citizen of both countries. He has property in Dominica, so he has tax obligations to America. The IRS is not going to sign off on a revocation unless all taxes are settled. So we have that complication. And as Mr. Francis mentioned, he's innocent until proven guilty. Why would you give up your citizenship when you are innocent? Even if you are guilty, if it can be proven, then you have already given up your citizenship and have to go back to the bottom of the line to get the citizenship that you had, because it's just very, the whole thing. Mr. Wayne mentioned the whole question of jurisdiction of the court in Dominica to ask for it, but as you noted, it can be made to do it. But I'm beginning to wonder, is that the judge's way of making sure he doesn't get bail, because he can never, there's nobody going to agree to that.
All right, think somebody made a reference to Mr. Al Capone. Remember Mr. Daniel Green, right?
Yes.
When he first appeared in court, Al Capone, as Green is popularly known, was denied bail. However, years later, he is not given up on this. After 3 years and 8 months and on remand at the state prison, Edward Al Capone Green is yet to, until this day, brought to the court. Green was arrested and charged with the murder of a 35-year-old Damien Dorival, whose headless body was found in Emswell Road on June 28, 2008. Dorival's head was later discovered in the Palm. So, in other words, this matter just surfaced because this guy never got bail.
And it's a good observation. It's a good observation, but again, when we compare and contrast both matters, the one at bar and the Al Capone matter, you have to ask questions. Number one, who are the solicitors, who are the attorneys for Mr. Al Capone? What argument that they put before the court? On what ground did they forward their arguments to get bail for their client? What was the strength of the evidence that was brought before the court? Because when one makes a bail application, the court has the discretion to examine the evidence in determining whether bail should be granted to the defendant. So, for example, where in a particular case, let's call it case A, the prosecution provides very strong evidence that would suggest to the judge or the magistrate that it is very likely that person will be convicted, the judge or the court may be declined to give bail to that person. Whereas the evidence appears to be weak. And that is why I said at this point in time, we know what we know. What we do not know is what is the quality of the evidence that the police has gathered. That is the other big issue here. And the public does not have that information.
And you think some of these matters were brought before the court, before the judge?
Well, the judge, from my understanding, commented on the quality of the evidence that was brought before his court. Because in determining whether bail should be granted to a defendant, the judge oftentimes takes into consideration the weight of the evidence. Now, of course, the matter hasn't been fully litigated. So you find the judge just looking at the evidence on the surface. That would be given in examination in chief when certain witnesses appear in the box, and the prosecution would ask, for example, the state witnesses ask questions, and the witness will provide answers. So based on that, and of course the defense could cross-examine. So based on that information, maybe that the judge could have concluded that the evidence that was brought before him does not appear to be very strong.
A former police officer is making the point. I think we never observed this. For Jonathan's safety, this is why they are saying report to the Grand Bay police station, because the judge fears that he may get hurt by the people of Soufriere if he were to report in that area. That seems fair.
Yes, that's a very good observation, because again, you have to look at the safety of the defendant. And in the public, remember, Matt, I read from Section 7 of the Bail Act, and one of the conditions that the defendant would have to satisfy the court is what you just said. D, Section 7D of the Bail Act of Dominica 20, it says the defendant should not be kept in custody for his own protection or for the protection of the community.
All right. Somebody's making reference to a point you made earlier to Josh. In considering an application for bail in such a serious criminal matter, would the public interest carry more weight than the interest of the accused?
Well, again, it depends on the nature of the matter. And the matter at bar is one of high public interest, because you're looking at a gentleman, a defendant who is involved in, allegedly, I don't know that as a fact, but it appears to be public knowledge, a CBI agent. And any CBI agent must be under public scrutiny, because this is somebody who is involved in facilitating the sale of Dominica's citizenship / passports. And the public has a responsibility and a duty to have that person be accounted for. So on that basis alone, it is of high public interest that the public pays attention to the developments of that case. And then secondly, you're looking at an entire community where opportunity cost arises. The whole question of the investments, you're looking at the deceased investment, you're looking at the accused investment. That is of great public interest in Soufriere, because many Soufriere residents, based on the utterances I've heard from interviews, have been aggrieved, not just because the event happened in the community, but they had a connection with the deceased. Some of them were employed for many years by the deceased. Some of them became personal friends. So you can look at it from a number of dimensions and come to the conclusion that this matter is of great public interest. And of course, Matt, you know that matter got international coverage.
Somebody's saying, is there precedent for that though? Revoking his citizenship as a condition for bail. I have never heard of any such condition for bail. Can Mr. Francis answer that question? Is there any precedent for that kind of condition?
No, I've never heard of such condition. I have not read any case in Dominica or within the Commonwealth where a judge asked for a revocation of citizenship. But bail is discretionary. It is left to the discretion of the judge, and it's left to the discretion of the judge not only to grant bail, but for the conditions of bail.
Wow. We'll have to keep following this one there. 2:45. Joshua is answering a lot of questions this afternoon. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes?
Yes, Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Francis.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Francis, what I want to ask you is, if the judge asks him to revoke his American citizenship, I mean, this is not something that's going to happen today or tomorrow, because he has to apply for that. That's going to take a long time. Is he going to remain in custody until he gets it revoked, or they're going to release him because he applied for it? How does that happen?
He's in jail until he can prove those conditions.
That is correct. So as we speak, he's on remand, and he will stay on remand until he meets all the conditions that were given to him for him to be granted his liberty pending the litigation of the matter.
246, hello, talk to me, yes.
Just quickly, Matt, and finally, Josh, somebody's innocent until proven guilty, but they're either innocent or not guilty. Am I correct?
Well,
because you cannot prove they're innocent. You're just giving them the benefit of a doubt. So they are neither innocent nor guilty. So a person is innocent until proven guilty. So when Lennox Lawrence can say he knows that his client is guilty, is he correct? And the other one, Josh, having to do with they are alleged victims. You are the lawyer there, I'm Josh. And those terminologies or terms, you can really give it a better explanation. So one, a man is innocent until proven guilty, but that does not prove his guilt or his innocence. And the other one is you saying the two alleged victims. Where am I getting it wrong and where is he getting it right? Thank you, sir.
Well, let me start with the alleged victims. I'm not too sure where that language is being spoken. If blessings is referring to the deceased, then they are not alleged victims. They cannot even be treated as victims. They are dead. They are no more.
There's no trace of that.
Right. So the issue here, and Blessing spoke about the attorney for the defendant saying that his client, I think he meant to say that his client is innocent.
Mhm.
Now, that is universal. All criminal lawyers, defense lawyers, will say to the public, if they choose to say anything to the public, that their clients are innocent. So when Mr. Lawrence made that pronouncement, it is not out of character for a defense counsel to make that statement. Ultimately, that's his opinion. When the matter is dealt with, if it is dealt with in its entirety, the jury will decide the fate of his client, the defendant.
I think Blessings was making reference to this statement. Let's see if I can get it for you there. When Mr. Lennox Lawrence spoke to his client's innocent. I'm trying to see if I can get it.
And Matt, whilst you're looking for this, let me just say,
Yes.
based on the Constitution of Dominica, based on law, as we speak on law, on legal terms, Mr. Lira is innocent.
Yep.
So in other words, we are saying until a court of law proves that he's guilty, he's innocent.
All right, let's listen to Mr. Lennox Lawrence.
Trip. But Jonathan Lear's lawyer is also here. He just met his client, and his message to us is simple.
I know he's innocent, and that's a clear case. They're alleging that at a particular time, the both victims, or alleged victims, were killed. That's what they're saying. Yeah. They're indicating what time they think it occurred. They're also disclosing to us documents and statement that says that the first time our client was seen at the area was 5 hours later.
So in other words, the prosecution so far cannot say where Mr. Lever was at the time.
And they're required to say, not us.
No, I get it.
They're required to say where he was.
All right, Dominica, my lines are just going out of control now. People trying to get me my cell phone, my landline, studio lines, all very busy. Good afternoon to you, Lofty. How are you doing? Loftus Jura?
I'm very good.
Okay.
Good afternoon to you, Matt. How are you?
Good afternoon to you. I think I saw you outside of the court. What do you make of this afternoon's decision?
And Mr. Joshua Francis, let me just say good afternoon to him first, Matt, before I respond to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Lofty.
All right. Matt, in terms of your question, what did I make of what happened or transpired outside in the court today, rather?
Yes.
Basically, Matt, knowing the system that I know in Dominica, and I'm a very straight shooter, I do beat around the bush. Knowing the system that I know in Dominica for some time, I've been living here for some time. It was no surprise to me that after the third attempt at trying to secure bail for Jonathan Lira, then he would be granted bail at some point in time. So that is no surprise to me. There's a lot of public interest in that matter. And so I want to ask Josh, he being an agent of the court. Josh, in your estimation, what do you think has changed from the first time, the second time, not being granted bail, and now on the third attempt, being granted bail? That is one question I want to pose to Josh for his answer. And what I just want to put again, Matt, as it relates to that case, in the interest of transparency and accountability and being fair and open, I believe, and that is my belief, the move by the judge, the learned judge, to keep out or ask the media/reporters to leave the court because they did not have direct interest in that matter. I believe, Matt, in moving forward, we as a people, we have to come together and try to rectify that situation. Because it cannot be a case of that magnitude is happening in our courts in Dominica. And we would have to rely on the states, the prosecution side, and the defense team, and the court, well, the registrar by extension, to basically give us the facts after everything is said and done. I believe a reporter, the media that is in the fourth estate, as it is said, has the right to attend these matters, and the media should come up with their own determination as to what happened in the court, obviously from a very factual basis, and should be able to disseminate that out there to the listening public so that the public now could get an idea as to what went on in the court, not from the legal fraternity, but from the media aspect of things. Matt, we see in America, we see in the first world countries, as they call themselves. Every matter that is of substance, you see they are being ventilated in real time, in real courtroom, between real judge, and reporters are right there telling you, for example, as it were ball by ball, what is happening. So I believe, Matt, the judge has his, what do you call it? It is his prerogative.
His discretion.
But I believe his discretion. But it is we now as a people to guide our country where we would like it to go. And not have people set precedents in such a way that we may reach so far down the road where accountability, transparency, and fairness is concerned that we will not be able in the future to, sort of roll it back in, as it were. These are just my comment and the question to Josh on the table. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I think you're making a very significant point. Why, in other words, in a nutshell, why were the reporters left out? Why?
Again, I cannot answer for the judge, but I suspect it's for security purposes.
Security?
Yes, because people are emotionally charged, and the judge may have a fear that should he allow that court to be opened for that matter.
For the media?
That people will flood into his court. Well, the media, I would take a strong position that the media should have been allowed and should be allowed in those type of matters. Criminal matters are of public interest, public concern, and that matter is one which is of ultra public concern. And it's kind of bizarre that the reporters were asked to stay off the court. So if I had to argue for transparency, I would. But again, it's very sad and unfortunate because we already live in a dark society in many aspects of governance. And in government, as you know, we have what we refer to as separation of powers, the executive, judiciary, and legislature. One would want the judiciary to be as open, fair, just, and transparent. And when reporters are left out of cases of that nature, it does not augur well for a society. So I do agree with Lofty on that point. In respect to the bail application as to what could have changed, because Matt, under normal circumstances where one makes a bail application and the court listens to the argument and then decides to deny bail to the applicants, we do not go back for a bail application unless if there is a change of circumstance. In other words, the first time the gentleman appeared, I'm hearing it's 3 times, I'm not too sure.
It is.
Whether it's 2 or 3 times, that is one of the hurdles that he would have to cross. Why is it that you are back in my court after a couple of weeks? What has changed? Because I've already listened to your argument. I listened to the argument of the prosecutor, and I have denied you bail. Why are you back? So the defendant applicant would have to satisfy the court or show the court that there has or is a change of circumstance. And in that case, my understanding is that the defendant successfully showed that his health condition deteriorated. So, of course, the judge obviously ruled in his favor. So you do need medical care, but for you to get that medical care, you have to meet 15 conditions.
15 conditions there. Let's take a quick voice note there before we wrap it up in the afternoon there. Yes.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to
Joshua
you.
Francis and all Dominicans. Matt, it is undisputed that this man came into a 100% black country. Its citizens, its indigenous people are black. And he terrorized indigenous Dominicans. You saw the videos with his wife and their dogs, and you saw these people in action terrorizing the users who navigated that public road, Matt. Anyway, the Canadians winded up dead in such a horrific manner. Those two alleged criminals, they had burns. They were by way of a video. They were seen by the bay somewhere where they were when they were apprehended. So this is clearly a flight risk, Matt. And it boils down to the wire where another passport seller, which is Lennox Lawrence, felt it fitting to take up a case like that to defend his colleague. And he says the man is innocent. He did not say he's innocent until proven guilty. He said the man is innocent. So right now we are dealing with an issue where no one has committed such a heinous crime in our country. No one has ever committed such a heinous crime in our country. This man has made history in our country. This Jonathan Lehrer and this Snyder man, they have made history in our country. So now the man has gotten bailed on the conditions where he's going to revoke, the judge asked him to revoke his U.S. citizenship. Can this judge force the man to revoke his U.S. citizenship? He has to do it voluntarily. And if the court asks him to do it, in my opinion, that is not voluntarily. He is forced to do it. And Matt, I have been watching a lot of cases where Americans committed crimes abroad. And once they got their feet on U.S. soil, the U.S. government stepped in to protect their citizens.
I made that point earlier to Joshua. Thank you, Maslin. The Americans are very serious about protecting their citizens, eh, Joshua?
Yeah, you made that point, Matt. I'm not too sure whether that is applicable in every case. You're looking at a murder. We just don't know for sure. But to sum it up, Matt, because look at your time.
I wish you had 2 more hours because the telephones are going crazy here.
Yeah, a lot of people, continue to have interest in this matter. But Matt, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for giving me the privilege of engaging the public and discussing a matter of great public importance and interest. And I hope the conversation continues, but more so that our voices are made to make Dominica a better place.
Thank you very much, Joshua. And I suspect we might just hear your voice tomorrow because we're doing a repeat of last week's program. So stick around, Dominica. The next program here is Q905. We're joining Flo, Dominica. Stick around.
You have asked for it, all of it, and we heard you loud and clear. Dominica, get ready for a repeat of attorney at law and politician Joshua Francis telling his story, telling his truth.